Yo, you're watching the Screaming Fish here, people, and once again, I'm here for another movie review, and this time we're looking at Finding Dory. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, Dory is a wide-eyed blue tank fish who suffers from short-term memory loss every 10 or 12 seconds. The one thing she can remember is that she somehow became separated from her parents as a child. With help from her friends Nemo and Marlin, Dory embarks on an epic adventure to find them. Her journey brings her to the Marine Life Institute, a conservatory that houses diverse ocean species. Dory now knows that her family reunion will only happen if she can save Mom and Dad from captivity. This movie is brilliant. Not only did this exceed my expectations by a long shot, but after watching this film I can easily say that it's easily one of the best movies of the year, as well as one of the best animated movies I've ever seen. This sequel is just as compelling, thought-provoking, and heartfelt as the 2003 classic Finding Nemo. The voice cast gives probably the best voice performances I've heard all year round. Ellen DeGeneres, I think I'm pronouncing that right, as Dory has got to be the best voice performance of the year. There was not a single scene where her performance felt underwhelming. She was perfect in this movie. The character of Dory herself is a surprisingly great protagonist, and while admittedly a fish with short-term memory loss sounds weird at first, Dory was just in Finding Nemo, just kind of like used as a joke character before, but she quickly became one of the best characters in the movie. When originally I kind of thought she was going to be something like Jar Jar Binks, but not. But she's even a great protagonist, which is pretty good. And she quickly became one of the best characters to show up on the silver screen. I must say that the flashbacks to Dory's past are just adorable. Baby Dory has got to be the cutest thing I have ever seen. It was also cool to learn her backstory, and I really liked how they made a scene that literally connects to how she and Marlin met in the first movie. I really enjoyed the other returning characters like Albert Brooks' Marlin. I still find him one of the most likable and realistic animated characters Pixar has ever created, and his voice performance is also great, as well as Hayden Rollins as Nemo, who also gives a great performance. However, the biggest surprise was the new characters, such as this whale shark character voiced by Caitlin Olsen. However, out of all these new characters was Ed O'Neill as Hank, the octopus, who was probably the best of the new characters. This guy was not only an interesting character, he was just hilarious. He had me laughing my butt off every time he cracked a joke. And speaking of jokes, the comedy is amazing. The jokes in this movie are some of the best jokes I've heard on screen in some time. I would even say that the comedy in this movie is better than some of the comedies I've seen last year or this year. The slapstick jokes are hilarious. The visual comedy is hilarious, and oh my god, Gerald the Seal is one of the funniest characters I've ever seen. I am not even joking, I actually believe that. I also found this movie to be quite dramatic at times, in a really good way. There were some scenes where I actually almost cried. For example, the scene where Dory ends up getting lost in the seaweed and almost forgetting Marlin and Nemo entirely, or when Baby Dory lost her parents and forgot them entirely. I nearly shed a tear, which is a very hard thing to do while watching a movie. I also really liked how they actually turned the short-term memory loss part of Dory's character into a main focus of the movie. In the first movie, it was used as a joke a lot of the time, but in this movie, they really go into the struggles of having short-term memory loss, and I honestly haven't seen this animated movie like this before. In fact, I haven't even seen any sort of thing in an animated movie like this, at least. They actually took it seriously, which is something I really appreciate. It also really works well with the drama aspect of this movie, and I would even say it came off as an unexpected but welcome surprise. Admittedly, I was a bit worried that this was going to be a rehash of the original movie, seeing as how the first one is called Finding Nemo and this one is called Finding Dory. Well, while it almost sounds like it's the same movie all over again, however, I was so very, very wrong. This movie is vastly different to the way the story is told compared to the way the story was told in the original. This movie isn't about Dory getting taken by humans to be put in the tank, though admittedly that does happen in the movie. It's about Dory, with the help of Marlin and Nemo, trying to find her true parents when she finally starts remembering them and getting separated from her friends along the way. Yes, there are a few similarities to the plot of the original, but those weren't enough to stop the movie from having the most original story it can possibly have. And thankfully, it didn't end up being a rehash of the original. It was its own movie for the most part. So finally, the animation, and oh my gosh, this film is just beautiful. To look at. Everything from the characters to the backgrounds, even the water was beautifully animated. You could even see the scales on the fish at times, which is something that wasn't present in the original. Granted, the movie is also beautifully animated, as well as Finding Dory. But this film is just fascinating to look at, and it was impossible to look away. I even found myself ignoring whatever joke or info was being given and just stared at the background for a few seconds. Finding Dory is the most visually stunning movie I've seen all year. So, now for my negatives. There were times in the final third of this movie where I felt like it should have ended, but it kept going. There were at least 6 times when I thought the movie was going to end, but no, it just kept on going, and admittedly it got a little bit annoying. I also thought it was at least 15 minutes long, 15 minutes too long, which is kind of related to the first problem I mentioned, but oh well. Overall, though, this is the best animated movie I've seen all year. It's beautifully animated to the point where it's literally impossible to look away, with a great, funny, cute, imaginative, and sometimes brilliantly dramatic story, with great characters voiced by an excellent voice cast. Finding Dory is brilliant. So, guys, that was my review of Finding Dory. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. It was very funny, very imaginative, and probably, I would even say it's even in the top 5 best Pixar movies I've ever seen. I would even say this is better than Zootopia, which is actually really saying something, because that movie is also amazing. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching my review of Finding Dory. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and follow me on Facebook for probably more videos and a few updates. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye, guys.